Silver disc blast on the screen. Movie magic is about to be seen. Experience the action at full thrust as the color pop through the screen. Audio blast through e-house. Gonna have to get another sub. Plastic cases running out of room. Looks like we're gonna need a bigger room. This is physical media coast to coast. We were here to celebrate the movies that made us. This is physical media coast to coast. We celebrate the silver screen. This is physical media coast to coast. Let's start the show. This is physical media coast to coast. Let's start the show. Let's do it live!
It's better than cocaine. Take it all in.
Hey guys, welcome to, I'm going to call it episode 3 of season 3 of Physical Media Coast to Coast. This is an impromptu show. I just feel like coming on at 12:30 at night, and I invited Justin from HighDef Disc News to jump on with me, and we're just going to hang out, talk about physical media, talk about movies, and so on. I'm going to also, if you're new here, I'm also going to show you what Twinflix does here with these 4K versus Blu-ray comparisons, just to give you a little idea, a little taste. But let's bring Justin in. Oh, you're sideways, man.
I noticed that happen when you started the show. What happened?
I don't know. Is there a setting on your phone there?
Let me go to the.
And guys, if you have any
Video
questions
setting.
or comments you want to ask us about physical media, movies, I'm a filmmaker with 15 years in the business. Just leave your questions and comments in the chat, and we will answer and get to them.
I picked it, I think, bro.
There you are. You're good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like I said, this is impromptu, so we didn't really have much time to. We didn't really spend time to
Heavy emphasis on the impromptu.
structure things. Yeah, guys. So let us know. Let me know in the comment section if you're new here, because I know Justin put a tweet out that we're going live. So yeah, let me know in the comment section. If you're new here, and yeah, you heard Justin at the end of that theme song yell, "Let's do it live!" Yeah, man. So how's it going tonight?
All right. I've been sitting here doing a little bit of screenshots for Lethal Weapon and Fury.
Yeah, Lethal Weapon. We both got that last week. I finished the screenshots on mine earlier. I have to say, I mean, it looks fantastic while watching on the TV, but for some reason, when I was comparing the two side by side, I don't know. I have a feeling people are going to like the Blu-ray better because the Blu-ray does look warmer, especially with the skin tones.
It's just color timing, probably preferenced.
But the thing is that when you actually really take a closer look at it, the Blu-ray is really overly hot.
Oh,
Like the saturation is way too much. It's overly hot. Skin tones can look pinkish or rosy.
Pink or red, as you always say, pink. I see
Right.
more of a red in it, but sometimes it's pink. It really is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. And also I saw some areas that were kind of blown out as well. So it's like I always tell people, at first glance, you may think that Blu-ray's the winner, but then when you really take a
not
closer
me.
look at it, the 4K is usually the winner. I'm not saying it's always the case, but most of the time it is. But I just wanted to show a couple things here, just if you're new to this channel. This is what I do is 4K versus Blu-ray comparisons, and I wanted to show a quick peeks at two movies. One is career opportunities. And the reason why I chose that is because a lot of people tend to think it's just a comedy. It's a little 90s comedy. What's the big deal? Blu-ray's just fine. There's no problem with the Blu-ray. It's just fine. It's just a silly old comedy. It's not like Lawrence Arabia.
People say
But
that a lot. To be honest with you, dude. Have you seen people talking about 40-Year-Old Virgin coming out? They're like,
oh yeah,
why?
yeah. And I've always noticed that comedy is always takes the back seat. I mean, everyone's excited about Lethal Weapon. Everyone's excited about, like Gandhi, Lawrence Arabia, things like movies
You,
like that.
you
But
know
when
what
they,
I'll say?
oh, go
I'll
ahead.
say immediately. Thank goodness we actually got Blazing Saddles in the same year.
Right,
You, you know, I
right.
thought that was kind of like, I don't know, kismet, to
Yeah,
say the
I
least.
mean, and it looks fantastic.
Hmm.
And it's just something about comedies where people just don't think it matters. But take a look at these screenshots, and you'll see why it matters. This is the opening right here.
Wow.
I mean, look at the differences there. I mean, like the neon colors are bleeding
They're o-
into each other.
they're overly like bright too on the Blu-ray. They're just way too bright for their like logo.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, they're bleeding. The colors are bleeding into each other. Um, and I've heard some people say, yeah, but it's supposed to represent neon lighting. It's supposed to look like that.
Mm-mm.
No, no, it's not. Um, Take a
It's
look at it.
just
See,
wow.
it's insane. The yellowish lights again on the Blu-ray, and then you got the bright white lights on the 4K.
It's a warm tone, definitely.
And this next scene, next picture is something that I continually notice, and I've talked to you about this as well. Early Blu-rays always seem to have a magenta or pink hue wash over the image. And I've noticed this a lot with Universal uh, releases. I think personally that they may have added that in just to kind of warm up the image quality. Because back then, what did we have? We had CRT TVs. We didn't have 4K TVs back then in the early 2000s. And so I think adding in that hue color would warm up the image. But now, since we got 4K, we don't need to do
Yeah.
that. So here's an example.
Wow. That is literal night and day. Night
Yeah.
on top, day on the bottom. I mean, or night on the bottom, day on top. Good grief.
And then
Again, night on the bottom, day on top. Which is
And then this is one with highlights, where like the flashlight is yellow,
right.
and then on the 4K, it's how it should
Oh,
look.
people will sometimes tell me they think that that 4K right there looks washed out because it's not got that red or pink tone that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's not washed out because of that. It was just overly saturated before.
Mm-hmm.
Or in some cases, it just felt dull or undersaturated in these two instances with the sign for the store manager and the infamous shot of Jennifer Connelly. But yeah, I think that people misinterpret that. I had a conversation with somebody on Reddit, and I think I changed their mind by explaining that to them.
Oh,
That
nice.
Yeah, they didn't turn into argument or anything. So
Yeah, I get comments all the time where they're like, but that's the way it looked in the '90s. That's the way it's supposed to look. I miss that '90s look, that
I don't remember it looking
nostalgia
any
look.
specific way,
Well, here's the
except it looked less blurry, different points.
and here's the thing: is people don't understand. Back from the beginning of video, even beta, studio going back to all we had was CRT TVs. Studios would tweak or change the color grading or color timing for better viewing with home viewing.
You got that right though, even though you thought you got that wrong. What was color timing is now become both color grading because you have the grading for the high dynamic range,
Yeah,
both for a 12-bit Dolby Vision and then a 10-bit HDR10 process.
yeah.
So
And so it wasn't that the 4K changed the color. It's that what you're used to was changed from its original color design for home viewing. And now with 4K TV, all the bells and whistles, they no longer have to do that. So when they get a chance to restore film, use HDR10, Dolby Vision grading, a lot of times they'll bring in the director or the DP, or they'll go off of notes from the director or the DP, and they bring it back as close as possible to its theatrical presentation. There's just no way it would look like this in the theater. I mean,
no,
really.
no, I think it was a fine balance in between those two.
Yeah, exactly. I want to show a little bit of Cobra as well, because this is just insane. Um, Actually, let me show skin tones here. The difference there with the skin tones is just incredible.
It's warmer in the correct way. It actually has more of a, I don't know. Stallone's got more of a darker skin tint to the pigment,
Well,
and it feels kind of pinkish and hue with the Blu-ray to me. It feels a little. You see that a lot in Rocky, I think, as well. Looking at it in comparison.
yeah. Well, it represents. I mean, he has a California sun baked tan.
Yeah,
It represents where he's at. And then going back to that pink or magenta, whatever you want to call it, he washed over the image. Look at that.
the wall almost feels pink, literally.
And this is even worse. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you can really see it within the white levels, but
I think what people sometimes want to hang on to with the Blu-ray when they say that it looks better is looking at that Blu-ray. I have to say, from a cinematic and color timing and all that, for that specific shot scene, it does look kind of beautiful the way it's like in that, and it kind of gives it a visual style. But in the grand scheme of things, when everything changes in between scenes and all that, you don't want it to be like inadvertently changing to way too bright like that, to be honest with you. And the color
right.
timing changes. The paint on the bricks back there. It's just so like so much more accurate, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, and in my opinion, I will always go to what the director, the cinematographer, intended us to see the movie. So, if for home video, if they added in that, I mean, I've seen it too with like a greenish hue. If they add that in for home video release, that's not the way the director or cinematographer intended for us to see the movie. So even like you said, where sometimes that may look beautiful, especially since it's sunset, you may think it's kind of reflecting the sunset.
It gives me a vibe of Vice City, the video game, or something. Some reason there. I don't know.
But then again, it's not what the director intended us to see it.
No,
It
it just gives me that vibe.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
some reason, I might hang on to that vibe. I might be the guy that say I like the Blu-ray better. for that
Right.
reason.
Right. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just I always go with what how the director wants to see his film. Look at that. In fact, that pink magenta hue also affected the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And look how much more detailed it is on the Blu-ray as well.
The black level is much more solid. To be honest with you, the first thing I noticed.
Yeah, the Blu-ray had really bright black levels. And there's another shot. The difference of the color with the car on the Blu-ray, it looks more grayish.
Her hair looks more natural now. The red hair.
Yeah. So these are just a couple. If you're new to the channel, you don't know what we're doing. That's basically what I do here most of the time is 4K versus Blu-ray comparison. So I'm currently working on Lethal Weapon. I'm going to start on Sorcerer, which I just watched today. I already heard people complaining, saying that why do they have to put all that teal, or why do they have to teal up the image? I didn't see any teal, so I don't know what they're talking about. There's like no teal in the 4K at all.
He's talking like kind of like a David Fincher type tone.
I don't know. They were just
think they're seeing that or something.
I have no idea. I've noticed there's a lot of people that will just say this because they don't like 4K, and they just make crap up, and say
Type in price difference. What is there to not like about it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, and look how deeper the red is on the 4K.
Oh yeah, that looks like blood red. To be honest with you.
Yeah.
Now in 4K.
I think it just comes down to people. I mean, we've all grown up VHS, DVD, Laserdisc, Blu-ray, and so that's what we're used to. We're used to seeing it how we saw it when we were kids or growing up, and then when the 4K comes out and the color grading is different, then people will freak out and have this knee-jerk reaction. I mean, I've had people say they totally fucked up the 4K. Why'd they do that? I'm like, no, that's not what happened. They actually corrected it. But yeah,
maybe
those
in the eye of a beholder, but not the.
I mean, and then I've had some people tell me you're just trying to push 4K because I actually had a comment yesterday that said, I really wish that places like Arrow Video would stop paying these jerk-offs with free movies so that they would stop giving them good reviews. And I'm like, that's no. In fact,
I bought this. Great review right here. Bought this.
Well,
this. Proof.
Let me see here if I still have it.
And wait, there's more. They sent me this for a review, and then I bought this. So.
Well, and with Arrow, I don't have one around me to pull real quick, but with Arrow Video, they send me check discs. They don't send me a retail version. It has all the packaging and everything. It's just a disc, like a CDR, almost like a CDR in a
white disc.
Yeah, and I hate it. I hate those check discs. I toss them when I'm done. So yeah.
I got booklets full of them, man. I've got like 2 booklets full, and I'm probably got enough for the third.
I don't hold on to them. I can't stand them.
I don't get them anymore. I let you and Frankie get them, man. I don't get them.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want them anymore. Okay.
Well, plus I have noticed, and I think I told you this before, that sometimes the check discs are inaccurate with like the menu setting, some of the special features. Like Dune, I got a check disc for Dune, and it did not include the Dolby Atmos track on the check disc. It only included 5.1 and stereo.
They're definitely not bit for bit what the final retail copy is every time.
Yeah, and then and they also left off a couple other special features, and the menu was even different on the check disc. And
That's
so
odd.
I bought the retail version, and I put it in like, why is it? This is completely different. I mean, the video quality was the same, but not all the special features, and it was missing the Atmos track. So, yeah, I mean, and every time I get on the press list, first of all, it's not easy to get on press lists.
No.
You just don't write them up and say, hey, I have this YouTube channel, can I have free movies? It don't work that way. I mean, I spent almost 2 years trying to get on MVD and Arrow Video's press list, and I finally I got on it. But yeah, I always, full disclosure, I always tell my rep that I will give my honest review, good or bad. And if it's bad, that's just the way it goes. I'm not going to cheat just because you give me free movies and give it a glowing review. I don't do that. And if they don't like it, then I don't want to review for them. That's just my personal feeling.
I've done it for 18 years now, I think. And, you know, when I first started out, before I got in public relations, when I was doing it out of pocket, I put that same honesty in the review and the same effort and all that back then that I do now, and to be honest with you. Never changed that. There's never been any agenda or anything I'm pushing or anything. I don't like that people think people are doing anything of that nature.
Right.
There may be some that are. I don't know.
Oh, there are. I know some people who do. Who will give everything they get a glowing review because they get them free, and they're afraid that if they give a bad review, then they're going to take them off the press list.
That's not truthful to do that, to be honest with you.
It's not. And also, it's not true for studios to do that. Most studios won't do that. They want your honest review. In fact, I gave a couple of bad reviews. Oh, I gave.
Fix it.
I forget what movie it was, but it was a few years ago, and I gave a bad review for a Second Sight movie. I just did not like how the 4K looked, and it was when they were first doing 4Ks. And I told them I gave it a bad review, and they emailed me back and said, sorry you didn't like the 4K. Hopefully the next one will do better. So, you know, they appreciate it, especially if you're what do you call it? Critical, but in a good way. Anyways,
overly critical will get a red flag drawn sometimes for any studio or distributor. They see you getting a little too loud and too opinionated, and might be in a bad way, then it can get that way.
The only studio that I've heard, and I've been warned about this from other people that do review for them, is Disney. They do not like it when you give a bad review. From what I've heard from a couple people that reviewed for them, and that's just what I've heard. I don't know if that's true or not because I've never reviewed for them. But yeah, I had a friend of mine that gave a couple of movies bad reviews, and they took them off his press list. And he asked why, and they said because you've given too many bad reviews, and we don't want that reputation.
I've never been told that.
Really?
Negative. I mean, I'm not making this up. I mean, I've told you my experience with Disney and how that came and all that. I won't get into the full detail of that, but if you remember, they came to me because I gave a positive review, but it was for the movie itself, not so much the bonus materials or the video quality and all that. Although it was great, it was a great Blu-ray. They came at me because I didn't want to talk about somebody's personal life that directed the film.
Oh, really?
Yeah, imagine that. I don't want to be TMZ. And
that's just ridiculous.
It was around that year that I met Jamie Kennedy, and what the heck? And he had that Heckler documentary, and it made me kind of rethink how you do a movie review, because he confronted a lot of movie critics and stuff that gave him bad reviews. And I just really started to look at it from that perspective of, what's the point of giving a negative review? I hate doing a negative review, but if it needs to be done, it has to be done, I guess. But there's no reason to just sink your teeth into it and just get way too into it. Some people almost like obsessively into it.
You know, I'm a filmmaker. I worked in the industry for 15 years. I know how hard it is to make a movie, and it's almost impossible to make a good movie. No one wakes up and say, I'm going to make a bad movie today. No one does that. And so it's hard for me to give bad reviews to a movie because I know how much work it took to make that movie. a lot of times too, it's not the director's fault when it turns out bad. It's just sometimes just how it happened. And so I try not to give bad reviews unless it's something that really, really stinks. But I've given some bad reviews on 4Ks and haven't had an issue. I wanted to show you this video. Have you ever seen The Prophecy from 1979?
Is that the one with Christopher Walken?
No, this is from 79. It was directed by John Frankenheimer. It's about a mutated killer bear.
Yeah, that's a little bit different than the one with Christopher Walken.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got those titles mixed up, to be quite honest with you.
So, this is like the greatest death scene you'll ever see. You ready? It is hilarious because you hear it's got a 5.1 track, so when the bear throws the kid against the rock, you hear all this crunching.
The sleeping bag just explodes.
It's great. The kid exploded in a sleeping bag. The kid was full of feathers.
Yeah, the feathers just go flying, man, at that point. That's like, they're not holding back on trying to, like, be, like, grab your attention with, like, schlocky level, like, effects or anything like that. It's great when people do that.
Yeah, this is another scene. This is pretty awesome.
Oh my God. I thought the bear in The Great Outdoors was pretty brutal and scary when I was a kid. That's nothing, man. That's pretty crazy right there.
John, hey John, thanks for joining us. He says it's not so much bad 4Ks as it is bad TV settings like the channel, by the way. Yeah, I mean, TV settings have a lot to do with it, but then I always have the counter argument. You shouldn't have to change your TV settings to just sit down and enjoy a movie. So a lot of people say that too, is why should I have to change the TV settings? I just want to sit down and enjoy a movie.
I got a question for you. If your television has it, do you change between filmmaker mode or something like Dolby Vision or any of those settings like that, or do you just let it do what it does?
Now, I don't have Dolby Vision, but I do have filmmaker mode, and I do switch back and forth. Because
I don't find myself picking filmmaker mode. It seems too dark.
Honestly, on some movies it is, but when you put it on regular and you switch back and forth, I've noticed that the other setting looks overly bright and blown out, and even some of the colors don't look as accurate as it does on filmmaker mode. Because I really played around with it because I thought that as well when I did filmmaker mode. I'm like, "Ooh, this is really dark."
Yeah,
but then when I switch back and forth, it does look a lot better.
I'd be looking at the screenshots and seeing how that looked in comparison, because that screenshot is bit for bit. You know, there's no color timing changes or any type of, tweaks like that changes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. In some instances, the other modes for like Dolby Vision on the LG, I think it's kind of amplifying maybe that to accommodate for the nits and the brightness of an OLED.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe it's overly accommodating at times.
I've heard that from other people who have Dolby Vision, that it depends, I guess, how the Dolby Vision was encoded. Mm-hmm. From what I've heard. Sometimes it looks great, other times it just doesn't look as good as HDR. But I will say that when I'm watching streaming, I don't have it on filmmaker mode. I've noticed that it does not look good in filmmaker mode on streaming. It's way too dark, and it just does not look as good as on another setting. Like if I'm streaming something on Apple or Netflix, but when I watch a movie on a 4K disc, I'll put it on filmmaker mode.
I don't think maybe it's so much intended, perhaps, for streaming, as it's more aimed at more of a physical approach,
Yeah,
perhaps.
yeah, and that all came about with Spielberg, Christopher Nolan, and who was the
I want
other
to say
director?
Scorsese. wasn't it?
Scorsese. Yeah, it was those three that actually came up with that. I don't really know. I mean, I'm sure the more expensive TVs, they may have a chip in there that kind of decodes what's supposed to be seen. But with the cheaper TVs, I don't know if it really does it that well. Yeah, that's what I've always done.
I've never watched anything in filmmaker mode that blew my mind. Let's put it that way.
I have.
I don't
Cobra,
know.
Cobra was one that did.
Now you got me wanting to watch it on that.
Yeah, you should play around with it. There's some of them that you're right. There are some that looks way too dark, and I've had to switch it back to a normal setting. So I guess it just depends on how the HDR was encoded to handle filmmaker mode. I've also noticed it depends on the year the movie was made. I've noticed that earlier movies, like from the 50s and 60s, and some in the 70s, it doesn't look as good in filmmaker mode as in regular. But then when you get into like the 90s and 2000s, it looks better.
It could be how it's taking advantage of, or how it's not taking advantage, or how it's kind of having difficulties with compressed like film grain and stuff like that.
Yeah,
there's
that's true.
a heavier amount of film grain back then and stuff,
That's true.
especially over black and white.
I got this in today. I'm going to open it up real quick, if you don't mind.
I hope it's not the B word.
The B word?
Boom!
Oh, I thought you were going to say a bitch.
You said it, not me.
No. One of my all-time favorite
all hate
80s
now, too.
horror sci-fi movies. The Stiff.
Hey, I'll raise you one of those. Wait,
And just to let people know
I think
who
I took
say
my
that
stuff
Arrow
out.
Video is paying me to give a good review, I
my
bought
stuff's
this.
underneath. Yeah, mine's underneath here. I will have a bad framing change if I take my stuff out.
I bought this because I didn't want a tech disc. So I purchased this myself off of Diabolic DVD.
Shout out to them.
What was that? Yeah.
Shout out to them. They do a great job.
Interesting. Huh. It says here a region A. I wonder if...
I don't think that it is only a 4K disc, so you're thinking correctly. Why region A? I don't know if that applies because 4K UHD is region free for the most part. You know.
Oh, okay. I see here.
There are a few.
Oh, go ahead.
There are a few exceptions. I think one of them. I'm trying to think of the name of the movie. I had it sitting on my shelf back here, and now I can't find it.
I know Coda. It was in Italy. There's a label in Italy that released Coda, Killers of Flower Moon, and one other one that had region locked. They were region locked. And then they re-released Killers of Flower Moon and Megalopolis later on that was region free.
Movie I was thinking of was an anime, and it was Shop Factory, I think, doing distribution for G Kids.
They get the new artwork.
Yeah, I personally switched it over to that reverse. I love that reverse.
Well, when I've got a slipcover or
Yeah, put
whatever you want
best
to
of
call
both
it.
worlds. Put both in there.
Yeah, when it has the same artwork, I'll flip it over to the other artwork.
Why not?
And it's
You
got
know,
a booklet here, and you got the 4K disc, and then the Blu-ray disc is dedicated to special features.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's got the better cut.
Oh
of the
yeah, that's
film.
got the cut. I've never seen that. I don't think it's ever been released on video.
I've not yet watched it. I'm in the process of getting, the review done for that, and yeah, I'm really looking at that. And
Wow.
somebody pointed out the runtime difference between that one and the theatrical there.
It's 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Uh,
might be
early
some new stuff.
early pre-release cut of the film featuring over 30 minutes of additional material and also a different musical score. And it was remastered in HD from Arrow. Yeah,
I
so
like that they went that far to actually put that out.
I wonder how it looks.
For like people that are fans of Larry Cohen's work, it's like awesome that exists. I mean, I'm sure even Lustig at Blue Underground would say, "Hey, that's awesome," because he was a friend with Larry.
Yeah.
I think that's just really cool that you get that version of the film, even if it is in HD. I always love that something like that, a different cut of something's included, like a Grindhouse cut.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Celluloid Dream.
Right.
But yeah,
Yeah. So disc 2 is not dedicated to special features. It's just the pre-release version. It runs an hour and 50 minutes, and the theatrical cut is an hour and 27 minutes. So I wonder how much different it really is.
it's
I wonder if it
probably-
starts. I'm kind of guessing it may start dragging on, because some of these movies, when they're get long, they it's like okay, I get it, move on.
It's most definitely probably completely not rated at all. It had no MPA
Yeah.
A or MPAA rating.
I got this from A24.
Oh, this stuff is just like makes my wallet hurt looking at it.
This is one that I purchased. I picked up. What's cool is they always include this little postcard of a shot of a movie. I'm not sure what movie that is.
Is it kind of like Arrow Video used to include those postcards, which they don't do it anymore now? FYI.
Yeah.
Did you notice that there was no postcard in your?
Yeah,
Stuff?
I noticed that. If you've never bought from A24, this is pretty cool. They treat you like a upper class citizen, like
Yeah.
a concierge
I've seen from some friends, man. They get their
With-
stuff in there.
with the
It's pretty neat.
receipt in there. That's pretty cool. All right, so what's the movie that I got?
Fucking an upper class fancy hotel, man.
Right.
They make you feel like you spent some money. That's pretty good, I hear.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Alex Garland. I love his
Oh
films.
yeah, I like Civil War. I thought
I-
it was.
I loved Men. I'm saying I love Men. I'm saying I loved the movie Men.
I've got worms.
So there's that. And these are always cool. The packaging is always great. So you've got the 4K disc,
It feels very Criterion in ways.
and then you pull this out, and you got. If it will come out. It usually has lobby cards and then like a
Wow.
booklet.
I always love lobby cards being included.
Yeah, it's got lobby cards here.
I bought an extra copy of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest at Walmart for like 10 or 15 bucks.
Oh,
it just
that-
had lobby cards and like playing cards and just crazy extras.
Yeah, that's what I've got. I bought that for $30 though when it came out.
I got it for clearance, man. It was sitting there for like 10 or 15 bucks. I was like, man, I love this movie. It was like one of the first DVDs I got. There's no way I'm not buying an extra copy of it.
Which, by the way, Cuckoo's Nest is coming out in 4K by the end of the year, from what I'm
I
hearing.
can't. Have you heard that they're going to have a new television series that,
Oh, yeah.
spoiler alert, what happens at the end gets carried on, or it's maybe also his backstory,
I thought it was
how he got.
I thought it was a
Yeah.
prequel.
It may be a prequel of like how he got in there, not how he got out and what he did after. Because I don't think there's much to go with on what he got out.
And my question is, why?
Yeah,
Who cares?
honestly, that was my first thought. but I'm a fan of the movie and the story there and
Yeah,
everything.
but
I can't say that I would want to probably tune in for a whole season of
I
that.
don't know.
Let alone more than one season of that.
I'm just really, really getting sick and tired of, they're doing it. They were doing it with movies. Everything's a remake. Everything's a prequel, a sequel. Now they're doing it with TV shows. See, John, hang on here. John says, nice. Watched that last night. It's a solid 4K. I think you'll be pleased with the stuff. Oh, the stuff. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
the stuff is just.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of thick film grain, and that's something I had to explain to that guy on Reddit. He was like, "Do you know any other releases that have an excessive?" Like, he didn't say the word, but I get what he meant. Is
Yeah.
Do you know any other releases that have a lot of film grain? And I'm like, yeah, and I love it. Blue Underground, for one, has a lot of film grain in their first probably 10 or so 4K titles, especially. There's a lot of film grain.
Oh yeah. Well, especially
cut with a knife.
Especially
I love
back then. I mean, they shot on 16 millimeter, like Maniac Cop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what I love is they leave all that film grain
I
in
want
there.
Maniac Cop on 4K. I wish that
So-
Don May Jr. would make that happen, please, or give it
Yeah.
to Bill Lustig, please.
I was actually lucky enough to talk to Lustig,
Lustig.
and he said that he can't get the rights to it.
Yeah, Don May has the rights, and he's just holding on to them, and I hope he does it 4K, because I'm going to tell you right now, there's two guys that are really great at doing 4K scans and then restoration effort, and are into preservation type perspective of it, and it's actually those two guys, along with Robert A. Harris, but. Yeah, and Don May Jr. would be perfect to do a restoration of it in 4K.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that in my eye.
Now, here's the thing. I don't know how legit this is because I only saw it once, and I don't know what country it was in. Europe or Australia? I saw a 4K of Maniac Cop. Somewhere.
It could have been in bootleg, though.
No, because it was... I'm thinking it was on Diabolic DVD, but I don't know for sure.
It could have been in that type of stuff you see that's in Facebook groups.
Well,
It's
I don't
really
pay-
sketchy.
I don't
Have you
pay
seen
attention.
those?
I don't pay attention to any of that.
Somebody's got Song of the South on Blu-ray, which I don't remember Disney putting that out.
No, they never did.
No, they did not. Trust me, they did not.
No. Yeah, that stuff is all bootleg. Anyways, let me know, guys, if you're watching this in the comments, if you saw Warfare. I didn't get to see it. I wanted to. But let me know what your thoughts on it are, if you recommend it or not.
Did they add that to Max? I think they add all the A24 stuff to Max, don't they?
I think so, yeah. I don't know if this is on. I don't think this is on there yet. But
I don't think it's been added yet. You're
what's
right.
interesting, and this is really cool, is that Alex Garland, he, because this is based on a real soldier, Jay Mendoza, and he actually allowed him to direct the movie with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's credited as a director. So it says, written or directed by Alex Garland and Ray Mendoza.
And his characters in the movie.
Yeah. And I think that's awesome that Alex Garland was gracious enough to share director's credit with him. I think that's really cool.
That was very gracious of him.
Two more here, and I got this just the other day. This is from Kino. We got Shane 4K, and then Danger Diabolic in 4K. Never seen this.
I love to see the older Kino Lorber stuff when it comes to 4K. They seem to do pretty good work with the older stuff. It really turns out pretty good. I think the Lady Killers was something that really impressed me.
Oh yeah, Lady Killers was fantastic.
Yeah, they topped Studio Canal's original.
Well, Studio
Blu-ray.
Canal did the 4K to that one.
Really?
Yeah, they licensed it out to Kino.
So in the UK, it was theirs. In the United States, it was Kino. Interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, Kino Lorber, they don't do their own restoration work.
No, the rumor of a
So like,
distributor.
yeah, so like both of these are from Paramount, and Paramount did the restoration work. It even says here, mastered by Paramount Pictures. So yeah, we got it. Let's see here.
They just hand their masters over to them.
Exactly. Hey Kyle, what's going on? Thanks for joining us. It's not your typical war film. It shows you the emotions and what they really go through while being attacked. Goes from being kind of funny to straight to the point. War is hell. Yeah, that's what I kind of figured.
I've heard that about it too. I've seen like non-spoiler reviews that really kind of go along that line of it's, I mean, like Full Metal Jacket's a great example of that. Like the first beginning of the part of Full Metal Jacket is such a great example of war being hell, and there's not even any war going on yet.
Yeah, right.
Just
right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So just think what they're in there. I've seen the trailer. What they're doing there, it's a little bit different than what's going on in Full Metal Jacket at the beginning.
Yeah, well, I love Full
Joker
Metal.
see some stuff, but yeah.
Right. What I love about Full Metal Jacket is it shows the basically torture that they go through during training, to the point where Vincent D'Onofrio's character, goes off the hinges, and
to say the least.
And I was scrolling through on social media, and there was an ex-military guy, and he said most of the deaths are from oh crap, I forgot what the name is on top of the head, but basically, friendly fire. It's friendly fire during training, and they said that happened a lot in the 60s and 70s. That
in the sense of D'Onofrio's character in Full Metal Jacket, you mean self-inflicting?
No. That's no.
Friendly fire. You mean more friendly fire by accident?
Yeah. So like they're you've seen movies where they're down on the ground and they're kind of moving while they have live ammunition. They will have live ammunition, or they used to, and people would get hit and killed. And he said that used to happen all the time in the 60s and 70s. But now, not as much. They don't use lethal rounds today. But yeah, it's crazy. You want to talk about this guy for a minute?
I'm really starting to be curious what the movie's going to be like here. It was most unfortunate, the angle that somebody took that fireworks thing in St. Louis. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that.
Just imagine the word Superman missing some letters and how unfortunate that could be.
I don't know.
I'll let you find it on the internet, ladies and gentlemen.
But I don't know. I mean, James Gunn. If I was to trust anybody with a comic book movie, it would be James Gunn. I mean, he knows comic books inside and out. I mean, he lives and breathes on comic books, and so he knows the whole mythology of Superman. If there's something in this movie that you don't like, it's still comic book accurate, because he's not going to just make something up that's not comic book accurate. Because I hear the first thing I heard a lot of people talk about and complain about was crypto. And I had friends that didn't even know that crypto was in the comics.
Yeah. People don't realize that James Gunn actually goes back and reads these comics. I mean, I think a prime example of that Gunn actually goes back and reads the comics, could be seen in the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, he got his brother to end up playing Calendar Man, didn't he? So he went back and researched somebody like Calendar Man. Was like, who the hell knows Calendar Man? Aside from James Gunn. And that's what you got, is you got him going back and looking at the characters that maybe didn't get focus, that were just,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
David Maschalian's character in the Suicide Squad with the polka dots and all that. That's a great example, man.
Perfect example. Well, and just going back to Guardians of the Galaxy. Before that movie came out, hardly anyone ever heard of what the heck is Guardians of the Galaxy. I've never heard of them before. Unless you're into comic books, you've never heard of them before. And even people who were into comic books never heard of them before because they're more of a niche comic book.
It was more of an adult-oriented graphic novel, though, more. Wasn't it?
Yeah. So, Crypto, I remember Crypto not just in the comics, but also in the animated series back in the 80s. Crypto was there. So, I think Crypto is cool. I think that it's cool to have Crypto in the movie. There's only one part of the newer trailer that I don't like, and that is when Superman knocks the teeth out of that guy, and the teeth go flying and it hits the camera.
They bounce off the camera. That's it just feels so kind of cheesy, to be honest with you. It feels like it's just like somebody referenced, and no disrespect to the great Rob Rodriguez, but somebody made a reference to something similar to a gimmick that was done in one of the Spy Kids 3D movies. So,
But I had a friend who is an editor, and he said he hasn't seen it, but from his point of view, he said it looks like to me it's, first of all, his trailers are always out of context. He said it looks like to me it's maybe footage that a news person put together to over exaggerate what Superman's doing, like making him more fantasable. They're in the movie.
In other words, kids, it's not going to be in the movie mostly. It's just
it might be in the movie, but it might be in like a montage where someone from the news put it together to make it look more than what it is. If that makes sense.
It makes sense for that, especially.
Yes.
It didn't make so much sense, though, to not change the subject with Edgar Wright making a trailer about a trailer.
Yeah.
But I love Edgar. I love you, Edgar. Don't hate me. Don't hate me. Please.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the only complaint I had with the trailer. And anytime something hits the lens, it always takes me out of the movie.
Mm-hmm. It breaks the fourth wall, I think, visually.
Especially when something...
Psychologically, too.
Yeah, when something like that. If someone talks or looks at the camera, that's fine. But when something actually hits the lens, I've never liked that.
Takes you out of the moment, dude. Takes you way out of the moment.
But I got my tickets. I'm excited to see it. I think James Gunn is going to knock it out of the park with this.
Didn't James Cameron have some tie to originally being tied to doing Superman? It seems weird you say that, but I swear.
Not Superman, Spider-Man, but not Superman.
Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, well, he was originally. He wrote
Superman.
a full script, and he was getting ready to direct it before Sam Raimi's came aboard.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Have you heard this conspiracy theory? Because that's what I'm going to call it. That Sam Raimi ripped off the first 3 Superman movies totally.
From what?
From the first 3 Superman movies.
What, was Spider-Man?
With Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, his trilogy.
How?
And they've got a video somebody posted on X. I've seen it.
That's just stupid.
Around. It's showing it scenes, though. Scene for scene, they're talking about plot points and things where Superman loses his powers. Spider-Man no longer has his powers.
It's a superhero movie.
Yeah, but what were the chances of it happening in the second film exactly for both of them?
Well, think about it. What movie doesn't rip off another movie?
That's true. And maybe it was done as homage.
Tarantino does it all. Tarantino.
Oh, yeah.
All of Quentin Tarantino movies are rip-offs of other movies.
Yeah.
He just does it so well.
Stuff from other soundtracks on his soundtracks.
Yeah, I mean, so
that's how deep he goes.
I don't buy that at all. I just think that, it's a superhero movie. Generally, superhero movies like that, there's stakes involved, right? You got to raise the stakes so they lose their power.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. It's people think way too much into this crap.
It's something any writer would have thought of. What if the superhero loses the power?
Right.
It's not out of the realm of possibility of something that you would write as, what do we do this time around for the movie?
Yeah.
Because it is a sequel.
Because, when you think about it, like with Superman, if they didn't use kryptonite, there's no stakes. Who would be able to? How would he?
I don't think I would want to have seen a Superman movie that kryptonite didn't play any part. What would be
Now,
the point of it?
now what I did hear is that James Gunn decided to make Superman more vulnerable than he has in the past, just to raise the stakes a little bit more. He said that that's one complaint he's always had with Superman movies is that he's not vulnerable unless with kryptonite. So he said that he made him a little bit more vulnerable to getting, basically he can get beat up, he can get hurt. Is what he said he did.
What if he's more subject to being like emotionally vulnerable? Somebody's like taunting him and stuff, you know?
Yeah.
You ever thought about that perspective of Superman? Maybe he gets kind of hurt by that, and it kind of robs him of his power. I know it sounds crazy, but
I think
I don't know.
it's hilarious too that people started complaining in the trailer. It showed him, he gets his power from the sun, and they show that where the sunbeam goes down and hits him, and he's screaming. So many people, not so many people, but a lot of people hated that. Said that's not Superman. Superman wouldn't scream. Read the comics.
If he's taking in energy,
You're taking in a sunbeam into your body.
yeah, you wouldn't. I mean, think how we take sun in as just humans. I mean, it turns into obviously sun poisoning or sunburns and things like that. But if you're under a high amount of like sunlight exposure, if you were up in the ISS, the International Space Station, and you stuck your arm too close to that window or something,
Right.
yeah.
Or and then you gotta think about, obviously he probably had some kryptonite that made him weak. So he's extremely weak and he's not as strong as he is normally. So yeah, he's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt him. And that's comic book accurate. I've read comic books where he does get hurt, and that does happen. One thing I did like that he did add in, and he disclosed this in an interview. He said that with glasses, he made them so they're hypnotic glasses. So basic, yeah, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's actually more believable because it comes to a point where there would be people that just want to come in there and kind of spoil the party and say like, why is nobody figuring out that that's Superman?
Right.
And hey, man, I hear you, but that was just how the comics were put together and everything, and they're not going to change that. It's just too fun to have two identities, just like Bruce Wayne and Batman.
Right,
with
right.
Clark Kent and Superman. I mean, you got to play with that if you're using a perspective of writing a story.
Right. So let us know in the comment, guys. Are you excited to see Superman? I got my tickets for next Sunday. I'm going to go see it.
I'm considering actually going myself to see that.
You're going?
I'm considering it.
I'm going to go see it at the Dolby Theater on next Sunday.
I wish there was an IMAX closer.
I'm honestly not a fan of IMAX. Have you ever been to a Dolby Theater?
No.
I don't know. So
I don't know if
nicer.
there's a Dolby Theater closer than an IMAX. I'm sure there's probably a Dolby Theater though. The IMAX.
Honestly, they are so much nicer than IMAX. And I think it actually looks better than IMAX. But IMAX, I don't know. Though every time I went to an IMAX, the seats are always uncomfortable. You're close together, too close together. I've never really cared for IMAX.
You made me think about the most controversial post of all time, according to some. One of my friends posted that he didn't like the AMC recliners and seats, and everybody gave him hell. Man, you gotta chill out. Don't tag people over that. That's just, it's not right.
Well, and you have to, like myself, I'm disabled. I have a bad back. I've got a bad leg. I can't sit I can't just sit normally. I have to have it reclined. I don't have it fully reclined, but
they should offer everything. They should offer a couch. They should offer a chair.
There's
whatever you want.
There's a couple theaters in Dallas where they have beds.
That's a bit weird because I start to wonder what's going on in the theater
Right?
with you.
I
I
guess.
don't really do. Yeah.
So my brother
Somebody's-
went there. My brother went there, and I asked him about that, and he's like, "Well, it's like a couch bed. It's not really a bed, but still,
like a
I don't know. It's just a little
kind of
weird
like a
today.
futon, more of a futon.
Very
area.
comfortable futon, I guess. Let's see. Hey man,
Yeah.
how's it going? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Sorry, Sigmul.
Simolia.
Sigmolia says, I agree. IMAX seats need to recline. Yeah, well, I don't think they can because of how the IMAX is set up.
It's for the perspective of you're aiming straight at that
Yeah,
shape of the screen, and it would throw off if you tilt back, and you're like, "Hey, man,
yeah.
this
Well,
is
that's
not
the
a
thing.
planetarium, dude."
It wouldn't look good because your perspective will be upwards, so you want to look good.
Molia. Her name is S.J. Molia.
SJ. Yeah, but I love the Dolby Theater. It's awesome.
I'm a big fan of Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos. You put those two together, and you got me. And Dolby in general.
Yeah.
I'm not playing favorites over DTS versus Dolby or anything here.
I am. I like Dolby better than DTS right now. Dolby Atmos, I'll always take it.
You know, DTS never invited me to their headquarters. Dolby, on the other hand, did, and it was right when Atmos was starting to happen, and they had about 100 speakers in the ceiling.
Oh wow,
And that theater was so cool.
that's
so cool.
awesome. I will say though that Laserdisc, the AC3, still sounds really good today.
That's what I was telling my dad today. That I don't know how I got in telling my dad that today, but I did. That I met that guy at Dolby there that worked on that, and when it became the DVD standard. But long before that, it was used on Laserdisc.
Mm-hmm.
So it was DTS 5.1 and Dolby Digital 5.1 were both on Laserdisc. Most people don't realize it was used long before DVD. So they had a part in that, and so did DTS. Back then, I preferred DTS. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I did too.
For 5.1.
I remember when DTS first came out. The very first movie was Jurassic Park. That came out. I remember back in the day when you used to have to call the theater to get your showtimes. I remember calling them and they're saying Jurassic Park and DTS. I'm like, what the heck is DTS? And I'm like,
well, a lot of the theaters, they put the placards up and they want to brag about that. All the home theater guys want to get those placards and put them in their home theater too. But at the same time, they were, in the beginning days of like ProLogic, they wanted to put a ProLogic sign out there and catch people's attention. If it was the era when Tommy the Who came out, they wanted to put the Quintrophonic logo out there.
yeah.
Again, you use much, but
SJ says, do you think the theater experience will survive long term, 10 plus years?
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, the expedition.
Hoping we don't have any pandemics. I mean,
They did say the owners of AMC and Cinemark, Regal, they did say that they don't see it past 20 years. They recently said that.
wow.
And that just comes down to, I think they're blaming prices because people just don't want to pay the prices anymore. Because
Do they think everything's going to shift to home experience or what?
I honestly don't see how that can happen because streaming is not a sustainable profit. I mean, you the only profit that these streaming channels get is if you subscribe, and there's only so many people that can subscribe or that will subscribe.
Yep.
There's a cap, so they can't.
They
can't go
produce so
anywhere.
many movies too that they're eventually going to have a financial loss. I'm looking at you, Netflix.
And Apple.
Apple is actually putting a little bit too much on the green light button lately. I'm not saying anything bad, but some of the stuff I've seen that they've greenlit, I'm like, Really? Do
Well,
you think that?
especially Netflix, man. Netflix is
Netflix
notorious.
especially.
I
But they're
mean,
good for acquiring stuff that comes from an international, scene where you get some stuff from overseas that actually gets acquired by Netflix and released
yeah,
over here. We never get the scene, There's
right,
some
right.
there's some great cases of that.
I just wish that Netflix would release some of their movies in the theater, like Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Man, I want to see that in the theater.
I don't see any reason they wouldn't.
They've already said they're not going to. They
That's
don't.
stupid to not abide by that. Dude doesn't abide by that. No.
I forget who the CEO is, but his name. But he already said that he does not believe in the theater expedition or what do you, did I say it right? Expedition.
Experience or exhibition?
Yeah, exhibition. That he doesn't believe in it, and that's what I like about Apple and Amazon. They
That's
do
what I was about to say. Is Apple did the Scorsese film
Killer Moon, Flowers of
yeah,
the Killer Moon.
they did that in theaters, and they put that out in theaters just like with F1. They did that in theaters first, and then it'll come to streaming at a different latter point in time, and you got to wait for it. They want you to go see it in a theater for a reason.
Yeah, exactly.
IMAX in particular for Formula One in that
Well,
sense.
is there your dog? Dog's having
Yeah, he's whiny. May need to go to the bathroom.
what's
One
funny is that so it's like I heard that Apple wanted this to be wanted F1 to be released in theaters, but they did not have the budget to do so, and so what they ended up doing was joining forces with Warner Brothers, and Warner Brothers actually bought the rights of F1 to release in theaters and on the physical media market. That's how we got it in theaters, and thank God we did, because that movie is insane in the theater. But as for your question, I think it will last. I think it will last. The theater experience will last. I don't think people will ever stop going to the theater because it's a communal experience. People love the theater. I think that they're going to have to drop their prices sooner or later in order to He's like, I have a friend. He has two kids, a wife. It costs him $200 to go see a movie between parking, popcorn, snacks, drink, the movie itself. It costs him an easy $150 to $200 to go to a movie.
Do these subscription plans that they do, like with AMC and all that, not really make them turn them enough profit? But the method that they're doing right now, they think they can foresee that continuing to past 10 to 20 plus years?
Well, that's the thing. Is like, I mean, now we're all worried about another big recession. So if things start going up in price, everything's going to go up in price of the concessions. And that's where the
theaters. That's where they make their money.
Yeah, that's where they make the majority of their money. I mean,
I've known that all along, man. Everybody knows that, and
people don't realize
either jerks about it or they don't understand it. Want to be understanding about it.
People don't realize that a theater maybe only makes about 10% from showing the movie, from the ticket. Their money is on the concessions. That's why, they could buy a thing of popcorn that's 50 cents and then they mark it up to $10. I mean, that's why everything's so expensive on the concessions.
And then you got to think of making all these, gimmicky popcorn buckets and all that.
Yeah, which is getting out of hand. That Avengers.
Yes, that one.
It's like $80, man. Who's paying $80 for that?
And it looks pretty silly. I would imagine having that in your lap, sitting there holding this thing with horns, like
right. The one that I thought was cool.
It was a great movie, man. I love it.
The F1, their popcorn bucket was a race car helmet. That was cool. I like that. I wanted to get
Okay.
that one.
You
And
know,
it
like
was
that. You know, like Days of Thunder, and it's gonna have ties to Days of Thunder eventually here soon. But
oh yeah.
you have me at that. Okay, I'll buy
Uh,
him that.
SJ says I think more live sporting events can work to get people into theaters. I've heard that as well,
Yes,
and also
yes.
concerts.
hmm
Um,
Fathom events and stuff like that really probably could be successful if other like companies would come along and do something similar themselves.
I think that like not Fathom Vince, and there's another one too. I forget what it is, but showing older movies that people never got to see in theaters.
Re-release
Um,
things, yeah.
yeah, sporting events, concerts. I mean, I've even seen here they've even played operas, and so yeah, I think you're right that
Well, think about it like this, and I don't want to give away the secret sauce or nothing here. So, Quentin, New Beverly, don't hate me. But here's an idea. There's these things called 35 millimeter projectors. And there's this guy, Peter, he'll tell you, Paul, here soon about beauties of 35 millimeter. But how about bringing back the 35 millimeter on film experience? And I'm not saying just to rival New Beverly, please don't look at it like that. I'm saying, why don't you stand up to that standard, folks? Digital cinemas are just too dime a dozen these days, and
yeah.
they're not all Dolby theaters, like you said. And they're not IMAX verified. Just because they're a digital theater doesn't make them good.
Yeah. I don't see AMC or any of the big major theater owners doing that. But
It's hard to put the real projector, by real I mean
and
to
also you would have to
the
hire
280s.
a projectionist that knows how to
hmm
run a 35 millimeter projector.
It's been
And
what, 15 years since people probably been running them in theaters on
yeah,
mass scale.
nobody knows how
Uh,
to even run them anymore. I'm sure the manager doesn't even know how to run them.
I had friends that worked as projectionists and stuff, and that I wonder if that's a skill that will ever come back. They
I I doubt it.
yeah.
Unless it's some kind of independently owned theater. Like I mean Spielberg, he just bought a theater and he's showing 35 millimeter.
See, there you
So
go. Why
yeah,
don't more
but all that stuff is
directors
in
do that?
Hollywood. You gotta spread it out. You gotta open stuff up in Texas and other places.
Think about Austin, Texas. Think about New York. Think about the mid and then the East Coast, man. Don't be just
Yeah,
putting everything in Beverly Hills, man.
right.
Don't get me wrong. I love the Walk of Fame. I love Hollywood just as much as everybody else, but give us some chance to be able to see it because I would kill to be able to see some of the stuff that Tarantino picks for
Oh, I know.
the lineup in there, and to see Tarantino's prints or what Edgar came in there and did a bit of the programming himself, but it just is something that we can't experience. Somebody like
Hmm.
you in the mid part of it, or me on the East Coast, and it's just like I have to get out to California. And, oh man, I'm getting and I don't know if I'll ever see that back in theaters and it be his print, or
Right,
vice versa. So it kind of sucks to be
right.
sitting on the other side of the United States when you see that, but at the same time you're like, oh my god, it has to be awesome.
Yeah. Kyle says, "I'm glad the UK don't charge loads. My local cinema charges $9.50 with a membership. It's $6.50. Membership is only 15. One-time payment for a full year, and you get one free cinema ticket for any film. I got one better. AMC A-List. I pay $19.95 a month, and I get to see 4 movies a week, 15% off all concessions, free refills on drink and popcorn, and it includes Dolby, IMAX, 3D, 4D, and whatever D there is. 20 bucks a month. That's cool. And I mean, I think more theaters need to do that, but also
Yeah.
I wonder how sustainable that really is for them
Is
because
is AMC going to be causing a monopoly where they're the only ones that can do that financially and be able to maintain that price range of
I
a
don't know because
subscription fee?
I have
I
a
mean,
I have a couple friends where they don't have an AMC theater. They have Cinemark or Regal, and they said it's the same deal. Like what Kyle said, that they pay like $15 a month. They only get one ticket a week. So AMC seems to be the only one that's doing like 4 movies a week.
So he's saying it's ad based a little bit too, like AMC, where they're playing probably a good 10,
See,
15 minute of
that's
ads.
that's where they're going to make. That's where they're making their money. That's where they're making the money. Everybody's
Some local business is playing for some placement in there, I guess. I no disrespect to them, but people don't want to come see that, then probably show up fashionably late just to avoid that.
Yeah, I went when I bought my Superman ticket. It had right there said up to 20 to 30 minute previews. I mean, honestly, I don't blame them. I would probably be doing it too if that's what's going to keep my theater open. Honestly,
A lot of people kind of have, I guess, FOMO or whatever, and kind of show up early at a theater, and they're just dependent on that to a little bit of their financial investment in putting into the advertising. To be honest with you.
yeah. I'm one of those that will always show up when it says to. I actually don't mind watching the trailers and commercials. John says Jurassic Park's DTSX still holds up. I have a 9.1 setup. Still prefer Atmos though. Yeah, absolutely. A friend of mine, Demetrios, he actually worked on the restoration on Jurassic Park, the 4K, and him and some others worked with Spielberg and the sound engineer that mixed the DTS mix, and yeah, they did a lot of, I can't say what, Close Encounters.
That's the one that I went into a cocktail party and he had just approved the packaging and everything, and I was like, "You're kidding me, lady." They're like, "Don't play my mind games with me."
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, it still holds up for sure. I mean, let's see here. SJ Kyle says I need to move to the USA just for the AMC theater, right?
I mean, we're not encouraging like people to jump ship or nothing, but whatever floats your boat.
Are you serious, SJ? $12 a month, one ticket a month?
That's pretty bad. The one ticket a month. That's
really
where
bad.
I'm like, the one ticket a month is just bad. If that was one ticket a week, I'd be like, that's still not very good.
But it's better than one ticket a month. Wow, I didn't know Cinemark was that bad.
That's
Still,
just like striking down
$12.
with an iron hand, man.
No, that doesn't make sense. $12.
Do you think maybe he meant a week?
I don't know, but if you're going during the day, it's usually $10 to $13, $14. So if you're paying $12 a month, you're just paying for that one ticket. You're not saving anything, really, except the 20% off of concessions, which isn't a whole lot either.
No, nobody's gonna pay that for the 20% off, but that's only 5% more than what you're getting off, right?
Yeah, seriously, man. Yeah, I would take the longer drive and join AMC as well. Because that's a really bad deal. If it's one ticket a month, that's a really bad deal.
Well, he says it's just a month. It is.
Wow. Yeah, I would not be doing that.
No,
Think about it.
No bueno.
Think about it. You're seeing a movie during the day. You're paying $10 to $13 to go see a movie during the day. So what are you saving? You're still paying for that one ticket a month by paying $12 a month. You're not saving any money.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, I would definitely be jumping ship and
AMC
going to AMC.
AMC's a much better deal. If you're wanting to go see movies throughout the week and actually get to see more than one a month, probably want to go with that.
Yeah. Now, does that also include the Cinemark? Is it XD? I think it is. But still, yeah, that's a bad deal, man.
I mean, $12 a month. How much is the actual ticket price at Cinemark?
Let me look it up real quick.
I thought you were picking up a calculator. I was like, what are you going to do from there? I was like, are you going to, like, give me an estimate?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to talk to a guy about
add the
it.
1 and a 2. All right.
Divide by 3.
Beef.
Multiply.
All right. Hang on here. Hang on. All right, just in your normal standard theater before 6 p.m.,
I'm saying $7 or $8.
it is $11. So you're
Jesus.
actually paying more. You're paying $1
Yeah.
more a month than if you just bought a ticket.
Is that what the price was? 12? Yeah.
Cinemark sucks.
You might as well just buy a ticket. I didn't want to put it that bluntly and that rude, but then I was like, put it in perspective. What is the price of the ticket? And I really thought it would only be like $7 to $8, but that's just way, way too high of a price for
Yeah,
just one
if
ticket.
it's $11 before 6, you're saving $1? Yeah, that's not worth
You're
it.
not getting it. They're passing the savings onto themselves, man. Not
Right,
you.
right. Yeah.
That's not working out for the consumer.
And AMC used to be 3 movies a week, and they just recently upped it to 4 movies a week. And like I said, you can see it's good for Dolby, IMAX, 3D, all the theaters. It doesn't matter.
Given they have that in your area.
Now, you can also join it where it's just in your area, or you can pay like.
Oh my God! He says they charge more for IMAX and D-Box.
Dude, you're getting ripped off.
You see the D part there? You got that? You got that going.
You're getting ripped off, dude. Cinemark is ripping people off.
Somebody's a D bag that's charging that.
Cinemark is a D-bag.
I've never really liked that. I've went through them over the years because sometimes they're just locally the only choice. But yeah, I'd go to an AMC over a Cinemark any day.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
If you got an AMC close to you,
Send all hate
otherwise-
mail to me, please.
otherwise, honestly, I would ditch that. Well, I mean, if you're going to see a movie at night, then it might be worth it. But one ticket a month, I don't know. That's not worth it to me.
No.
Now, if you want to, going back to AMC, you can pay $20 a month for your immediate area and surrounding states. But if you want to do it like nationwide, you pay $5 more, and you can go anywhere in the country to an AMC
You can
theater.
travel and use it.
Yeah, so like I
That's
could
pretty
go down to California and use it.
Yeah, that's got possibility. I would pay that a little bit extra to be able to take advantage of that.
Yeah,
You know, traveling, living between the East Coast and Los Angeles sometimes, that would be pretty rad.
yeah.
Be all about that.
That'd definitely be worth it. Before we wrap this up, I wanted to announce a new show that I am been working on for this channel. It's me and my good friend Dan over at Return of the Disc. We developed a show called Two Guys in a Movie, where we just kind of sit, like me and Justin are right now, we just talk about a movie that we've seen, and just we start off by reading off the bad reviews, and then we go into the plot and then our thoughts of the movie. Just chill out and talk about the movie, and each week it'll be our choice of movie. So one week will be my choice, next week will be his choice, and we got 4 episodes in the can right now. We're going to kick it off July 11th on Friday, and just to give you guys a sneak peek, these are, I don't have thumbnails for his, but thumbnail for my choices: Jacob's Ladder, episode 2, and then the greatest film ever made, Megalopolis, will be the season 2 finale.
Has that ever got a 4K stateside, or will
No.
it ever?
Nope.
Doubtful.
UK and Italy. And we're going to kick off the season with Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. And so every Friday on this channel, we will be doing a Two Guys in a Movie episode. So, yeah, we've been working on this for a while now, and we're finally getting it going. We're recording a new episode tomorrow for Sorcerer. So that'd be fun. Anyways, guys,
Tempted to buy that in the Criterion sale.
have you seen it before?
No.
Oh,
I'm
dude,
tempted to buy that
it's
because it's Criterion half
it's
off,
my
so.
it's my favorite William Friedkin movie. I love this movie. It's one of my favorite movies in the '70s, and my favorite William Friedkin movie. It's
Yeah, he does a lot of great movies. So
it's incredible.
I know of his work, obviously, from that perspective.
Let's see here. We got a. Let's see. John says, "Cool, you know people in the industry. I've always wanted to go behind the scenes of restoration."
I've got to do that from like post the release perspective at Warner's Motion
Yeah.
Picture Imaging, but I've never got to sit there and I think they'd make you do more than a non-disclosure agreement to sit there with them as
Yeah,
they're doing
yeah,
the
they do.
actual.
Is
Yeah.
I didn't have hands-on work with some restoration, but I've been in the room, and just being in the room and watching them, I had to sign
I would
two-
imagine.
two things, and they have snipers looking for you if you spill the beans.
Do they have a water print on the actual video at that point still?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
They have
unfortunate.
to. But a good friend of mine, Demetrios, he's worked on a number of different restorations, and so it's like if I have any questions, sometimes I'll look at a 4K and I'm like, I have a question about it. I'll go to him and ask him, hey, how do you think this worked or this happened? Because he has a lot of friends in the industry that he can actually ask, so it's cool.
Man, I just was scrolling through X feed, and speaking of New Beverly, somebody had posted they've got a double feature tonight: Return of the Living Dead and Repo Man. That's a choice. That's a choice.
Two classic '80s movies.
Hmm.
All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining me. We're gonna wrap this up. It's getting late, but yeah, thanks for coming on, Justin. And
Past our bedtimes.
what was that?
It's past our bedtime.
Yeah, yeah. This was just an impromptu live show. I just felt like coming on. I'm like, hey, you want to come on
Yeah,
with me? We
We
can
weren't
talk.
sure if people would show up either, to be honest.
Yeah, it's been going. I've been watching the viewership. It's going between 3 and 8.
We're actually up to a
Viewers.
pretty high amount right now as we're going off. We're
Yeah,
going to go out in style.
yeah, right.
Like a firework, baby.
Yeah, if you just joined, definitely
Boom, boom,
watch the replay because we talk about some cool stuff at the beginning of the show. All right, guys. If you're new here, I do these live shows. I try my best to do them once a week. If not, I do them periodically. And I do 4K versus Blu-ray comparisons. No, I do not take a screenshot from my phone off my TV. I actually pull them from the 4K disc and the Blu-ray disc to ensure accuracy. And so guys, if you're new to this channel, go check out my playlists and all that good stuff. And where can they find you, Justin?
They can find me at HighDefDiscNews.com and on X at the name there showing in the bottom.
High
On
Def Disc News.
Yeah,
And,
.com and on X and other social media like Facebook.
And you pulled some screenshots as well from 4Ks. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, guys.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks, Justin, for coming on. And we will see you guys next time. And as always, keep physical media alive.